strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
If I wake up with an attitude, you assuming that I must be mad at you. Didn't get no sleep with you last night. Know it hurts when I swear, but I had to. So what if I wake up with an attitude? You assuming that I must be mad at you. I just rolled out of bed on the wrong side, and now we in a bad mood. You don't wanna deal with it. You gotta be real with it, real with it. You wanna leave, but you're just in your feels. That's why you still in it. You don't wanna deal with it.
Okay, you gotta put me up on game, Andy, because I don't know. I recognize the voice, but I don't recognize the track.
Girl, that's LMA.
That is?
Yeah.
Listen, I knew the voice.
Yeah.
Okay, shout out to LMA.
Shout out LMA. She with Jason Tatum.
Right. Hence, Andy playing that. I got the connection. I see you, Andy.
Connected.
I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that?
See? Look at God showing off.
I didn't even know that. That song is a banger.
Okay, I appreciate the banger, but yes, LMA and Jason are dating. I saw a picture of them from the Jay-Z Hove exhibit. Someone walked up to them and asked them could they take a picture together. They were looking like, okay, but cute.
Since we talking about Jason Tatum and LMA, shout out to Embiid and Trae Young for getting married this past weekend.
They both got married. I had that in my notes.
Who did Embiid marry?
His girlfriend that he's been with for a while, his baby's mama.
He gave up on Rihanna, huh? He probably like, you know what?
I mean, Rihanna gave up on him. She made it very clear that wasn't in her plans.
Right.
So I got to ask both of y'all this real quick.
Okay.
So, obviously the Embiid wedding was trending, and a lot of people were making note of James Harden's absence. Because he was out in H-Town, partying with Bun B. So a lot of people were just, speculating, oh, that means he's not a Philadelphia 76er.
That means they're teammates.
But I'm saying
they're not friends.
That means they're teammates.
Good. Okay.
I mean, and that's
Absolutely.
Here's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, from what I hear, not that what I'm saying, what I hear means a whole lot, but what the buzz is that, James to the Clippers is pretty much a done deal. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if that's the best move for the Clippers, but
still a first round exit.
It is. They need a point guard, though.
Do they?
No.
Can you see James and Russ playing together again?
No.
Yeah, I forgot Russ
it's
was on the spot.
It's going to be really interesting, to see that dynamic if they keep all those guys as well.
If that should happen. But, I just think that the reality is, as much as we would like teammates, and we just talked about LeBron and the whole thing about AAU and the closeness, a lot of these guys just aren't friends and don't rock with each other. They don't share the same ministry. They don't share the same idea of a good time. Exactly. And so I think, does it matter? Does it say something? Yeah, it says that they definitely don't have an off the court relationship, but that doesn't mean that they can't come together and do great things should they run it back again.
Right.
So
we'll see.
We'll see.
If they're mature. I mean, they from LA. They grew up together. They've known each other for a while. So.
Oh, you're talking about Russ and James. I think
sorry.
that'll be okay. I'm talking about
but they had beef.
James and Embiid. They had beef too.
But when they were OKC, remember James left because he wanted to be The guy.
There was no room, and
not
they couldn't
beef,
pay him.
But
Not beef, but they didn't have the money to pay him right at that time. That was when they had, it was what, Russ, Katie, Jeff Green was on that squad.
They had a squad that just could
James,
never get over that hump. Yeah.
You know, I think it was just youth.
Skills. Bad basketball.
Bad basketball.
A lot of bad basketball was
That was
happening.
the manager. That was the manager's fault.
There
right
was
there.
a lot of bad basketball happening when they was in OKC.
Sam Presti, he wasn't doing this? No, that's the owner,
Well,
right?
because they picked Ibaka over Harden. They valued the big
They
man
did.
over the guard.
But
That's
that's
true.
honestly because they felt like that's what they needed. They thought there's one ball, and you got one ball, and you got Westbrook who wants to be ball dominant. You want Durant who wants to take all the shots, and James wanted the ball in his hands, so somebody had to go.
And it's funny, too, because Harden was actually the sixth man on that squad.
Yes, he was.
And
six
low
man.
key, that was kind of like the perfect role for him, considering how ball dominant he was. But
But that's what happens when you want to be Batman. You
That's why
leave.
Batman's a solo act for the most part.
Yeah.
Robin just hops in and out on certain episodes. So, hour 3, we are here. We're getting down to the last hour. And hour 3 is where the VIP ropes come down. We,
Take the rope down.
let things get a little looser,
a
a
little
little more
loose in the
open.
last hour. Shout out everybody on my Instagram live. These people are cracking me up. It's about 30-some people in here, but shout out y'all.
Well, shout out you guys. Thank you for always checking
Come
in
on
with me.
here. Go to the link. Go to the link from my story, you guys. Get off my live.
And go to the
And go
link.
to the link and come in there and talk to us. Chat in there with us so we could talk to you guys.
Or you
Okay.
can call in.
Or you
Like,
could
this
call
might be
in.
your only chance you ever get to
Ooh,
connect with Miko Grimes.
Say the number so they can hear.
800-920-1580. Let me give that to you one more time.
Yes.
800-920-1580. Hit us up
You
because
guys call in. Call in. They can't hear you. Damn it. They can't hear her in the back. But call in, you guys. Call and talk to us.
Call and
or
chat.
get in the chat, you guys, okay? I'm going to get off here so y'all can get over there, okay? Bye.
So I got a question for you, Miko. So Ozempic has been making its way around Hollywood, just the general country in general, and Wegovy. They are two drugs that were initially created for use for diabetics. They're injectables, but they had an interesting side effect. They made people lose weight. So it has been a thing. You've seen a lot of spontaneous. How about that?
There you go.
Spontaneous. It's 11 o'clock, you guys.
Weight loss.
Sometimes that happens. Oh, look at that. Somebody called. We're going to get to you in a second.
Yes.
But so we've seen a lot of usage of this. And lately, it's already been listed as one of the side effects. But one of them that has been coming up more frequently is stomach paralysis.
Ooh.
Right? And there is no cure for this. So some of the symptoms are people reportedly feeling extremely ill, vomiting, unable to eat, and it basically, kind of freezes their stomach in place so that they have a hard time taking things in. And so I want to know from you, do you know anyone that has taken any of these things? And if so, what are your thoughts and feelings? Because we know looks are a fad. So when everyone started getting BBLs, everybody got BBLs, whether they were athletic or slight, whatever. And now the look is going back in the other direction. So people are having to pull stuff out. They're taking drastic measures. I know that you are all about working out and being fit. But what are your thoughts about stuff like this?
I have a friend. He's going to kill me if he hears this. But I have a guy friend, and this just came to me when you said that. I never knew the name of this drug. I've heard about this stuff people are taking, and now I've been asking him how he lost this weight so quickly. He was almost 400 pounds, football player, NFL player, retired, and now he's like in the 200s, like the 260s, and I'm just like, what did you do? He goes, I was just drinking a lot of water. And I'm like, bro, that's not how the body works. So I now want to ask him if this is what he did and see if he'll be honest with me. Because is it drastic, the weight loss? Like, is it quick?
It happens pretty quickly.
He did it in a 6 months period.
It does work about that quickly. It suppresses something in your brain so that you do not feel hunger. And so basically a lot of people
What's
are
the
taking
name of it again?
Ozempic.
How do you spell it?
Ozempic.
Ozempic.
Ozempic. Okay, yeah. Ozempic. You can tell I never took it. Ozempic and Wegovy is the other one. And they both, I don't know. I know about it, you know.
Oh God. Yeah, this maybe this is what he's doing.
So basically, it's being held kind of as a miracle drug. So basically, it mimics the hormone GLP-1, which regulates insulin and keeps food in your stomach for longer. Digestion is aided by a contraction of the stomach muscles, so it helps empty the food out. But when the food stays in your stomach too long, the muscles slow down and it can cause intense nausea. So it's tricking your brain into making you feel fuller longer or that you're not full, but it also kind of makes the internal stomach muscles lazy so they're not expelling the food. And so, there's no cure for the disorder once it happened, and it can cause cyclical vomiting syndrome, and, dehydration, malnutrition, things of that nature. So we know that we go through a lot of things for the pursuit of the body beautiful, to look a certain way and to fit a certain type. So I want to know your opinion. Which body type do you think is more harmful for society right now? Do you think the BBL craze and all of that it taken over, or do you think that this return to kind of, people are jokingly saying that we're going back to the days of, super skinny, low-waisted jeans and that kind of look?
Well, both are very unhealthy, obviously. One is a different kind of danger because it's like a surgical thing, and then this other one is an injection, right?
Right.
And so I just feel like people, we're caught up in wanting to be perfect, wanting to be flawless, and that's just not human. Like every build is different. Every build can be beautiful. I think healthy is what's beautiful. I wish we didn't care about the things we care about. You know what I'm saying? I wish we didn't think that the BBL was the end all be all of beauty, but people are getting a BBL and got brown teeth in their mouth. Like, it's just.
When Cardi B did it, she said she did it because her booty would make her money.
Yeah, it did.
Not those teeth.
It did. It did make her money. You know what I mean? So it's just. People are getting a BBL and working a fast food job. Like, what are we doing right now? Like, if you're going to get it and it's going to make you some money, you're going to do something. Okay, it's an investment. I get it.
I mean, they all think it's an investment, though. They all think any
Then
day,
go shake it, throw it or something. Like, why you just walking around with a big old booty for no reason?
They think they're going to cross paths with one of these $250 million athletes and
oh, God.
Done deal.
I just think it's both. Both sides of it are very unhealthy. And I don't judge or shame anybody. Go do whatever you feel like you need to do to find your peace. Just know that all those things have consequences.
Shout out to G Santa 81 in the chat. He said Miko is perfect. So there you go.
Thank you. Send me the link. Again.
Send you the link. Okay.
This is the last hour, right?
Yep, this is the last hour.
Yeah, send me the link.
Okay, so on the lines of attractiveness, right? There is recently a conversation that came up in a Reddit group, and it was based off of something that a hiring manager put in there, right? And so it sparked a conversation. A hiring manager revealed that while he was interviewing a candidate, he automatically knew that he wasn't going to give her the job because she was too attractive. She was qualified.
Ooh.
She had everything together. But what he said was, it's not good for me or my team if she ended up getting hired. He was accused of being sexist because he posted about this in a group on Reddit. It was an anonymous forum, and it later was shared on Twitter. But basically, he said that he couldn't advance her to the next round because he feared that her appearance would disrupt the work environment, and he refused to hire her because he felt she was too attractive to work for the team. He also explained that he usually does the first round of interviews for his company, and for most of those interviews, he usually gets male candidates. And the field that he works in, he says it's mostly male. And he rejected her because he thought that, it would cause some problems.
It might be
would be a distraction.
HR situation.
Yeah, and he said
that's disgusting.
He said he's a happily married man, and he often finds women attractive, but he's never acted on those impulses. So he wasn't worried about it for himself. He just thinks that overall it's a bad look for the team. So what are your thoughts about that? Because according to Pew Research, they said about 4 in 10 working women have said that they face discrimination on the job because of their gender. And women are 4 times as more likely to men to say that they weren't treated fairly because of that. So 23% of employed women versus 6% of men.
Well, I almost... You used to not get the job because you were ugly. Do you remember that? But then, now you're not getting the job because you're too pretty. It's still wrong. It's just wrong all the way around, and it's unfortunate that you're trying to stop something. What are you trying to stop people from not being productive? Like, you have to hire people that are going to be productive no matter how fine somebody is. Like, do you not hire men that are attractive, that got bulges, that got muscles, that, you know what I mean? Like what is this? Is this only a woman thing?
I think so. I remember I worked at a company, and one of the executives there, it was in entertainment, he never hired women assistants. And that is for similar reasons for what this guy said. And also, I mean, for him, he said it was a distraction, but also he said it kept things easier at home because his wife
she probably had a history of cheating, probably sliding with his
I'm not sure
employees.
I'm not sure, but he just said it made his wife feel better. She didn't like if he had an attractive female assistant, so he avoided doing that because it kept more peace in his home. So, you know, I think that it's something that people don't talk about much. They always think, oh, attractive people, they have it easier. People are always going to let them in. But then there's these biases that you can't really discuss, because if people bring it up, they're saying it's ridiculous. You know, that's not really a problem. It's not something to worry about, but it can impact people just as much as some of the other things can. So I don't know. Do you think that you've ever lost out on an opportunity because you're an attractive woman?
No, I don't think so. I think the industry that I've been in, it's more of like my job on Gilbert's show. Like I dress like a tomboy. Like, I mean, I have this thing called Titty Tuesday. And so
you dress like it. Here's the thing. She says she dresses like a tomboy, but she's also emphasized how much she works out, right? And so but for some, like, here's the thing. If all of those men, I don't know everybody's status on there, but they might go home to a problem because they're on a show with an attractive woman who, you know, has a body that is free, you know, as far as,
hey, shirts I look like good. This.
Look, here you go. See, if you guys are not in the YouTube chat, you're missing out. You're missing out. That's all I can say. You are missing out. But I think that it's something that people don't consider when it comes to women, because you can't be too smart. You can't be too attractive.
Yeah.
It also works in the same fashion if you are considered unattractive or you're not up to standard. Then it's a whole bunch of situations there. We're going to get into more of that topic when we return. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried new Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in 1 wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
I'm Dominique DePrima. We can all fall into the trap of mindlessly spending sometimes. I know I do it. But one tip for staying on track is when you have an impromptu purchase that comes up, try making a habit of taking a quick look at your bank account balance before you buy it. It's not just about seeing how much you have in your checking account. Just looking at your account might put the urge to make that impulse purchase into perspective and help you make better choices that'll benefit you for the long term. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, nonprofit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the Dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Protho-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, it's Jill Munroe. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. I am joined tonight by Miko Grimes. We have been having a fascinating conversation about a multitude of things. But right now, we're going to continue into a conversation that we've been having on this show a lot regarding the celebration of the first 50 years of hip-hop. So there is a documentary that is headed to Netflix. It's called Ladies First, A Story of Women in Hip-Hop. It explores the undeniable impact that women have played in hip-hop in the first 50 years, right? It debuts on August 9th. But some fans of Nicki Minaj are upset because they noticed she wasn't in the clip. And as we mentioned earlier, the Barbs go ham. But it's not only Nicki that's missing from the clip. It's also been noted that Missy Elliott wasn't featured. And come to find out, the reason why they aren't included is because they didn't agree to license their music to the project. So not sure if they'll be included or not. But also missing from it is JJ Fad. And they tweeted about it. They said, please don't get it twisted. Just because we had a big crossover pop hit does not mean that we're not hip-hop. We were produced by hip-hop producers and on Ruthless Records, a hip-hop label, which, by the way, we helped put on the map. Gotta stop leaving out females in the hip-hop conversation. Did I mention we were Grammy nominated and platinum selling? And so kind of along those lines, do you think that as far as women go and West Coast, in the story of hip-hop, that the women that kind of were involved in that scene from this end were left out? Because when you think about the biggest stars in hip-hop, we talk about Kim, we talk about Latifah, Foxy, Trina, but we know Yo-Yo came out in 90, but we don't really consider her one of the stars of the game. We don't really consider, people really don't think too much about JJ Fad. So why do you think that the West Coast is missing from the women are missing from the West Coast conversation as far as hip hop?
I think that's the responsibility of the men of hip hop, because in anything, the men lead. Sports, everything. They're the dominance of the group. And I think that the men of hip hop, of West Coast hip hop, probably need to champion for them so that they get heard, because the guys also know what it's like to be a West Coast artist and not get respected. There was a time where the West Coast men weren't getting the love either. You know what I mean? So they should know how that feels, and it's their job to kind of bring people along, bring the women along with them and keep their name relevant and talking about the greatness that was on the West Coast in hip hop.
But I even think currently, because Sweetie, I guess that would be one, but
she wait.
She's from the Bay.
Yeah,
she's from the Bay.
I'm thinking about LA, but yeah, she's still
But
West Coast,
yeah, but overall though, really, has there been a female MC from the West Coast anywhere that's really made a statement? Especially right now, we're in a women dominant era. It is, women are running hip hop. They are making the songs that, as a matter of fact, I talked about a couple weeks ago how no hip hop record had made it into the top 100 slot in 2023, and that's the first time in 30 years. And it actually just happened. Lotto got a #1 hit. She's the first rapper to reach #1 in 2023 on a song called 7. It's a collab with Jungkook. Not sure who that is, but it reached #1. So women are obviously making their name and their stake in all of this. But again, there's no West Coast artists involved in this conversation. Are there any West Coast hip hop female artists out currently that you can think of or that are relevant?
No, but I also feel like the women's hip hop is dominated by sex. So a lot of the West Coast rappers were not the shake your booty, bend over. That's more of a Southern thing that's kind of trickled up to the East Coast. But I feel like we were the rappers that were here were more like lyricists. They were more like tomboy, and that's not gonna fly right now. You gotta throw that butt in a circle. You gotta do all kinds of stuff now to get it popping. You
don't think it's room for like a tomboy type female? You don't think nobody wants to hear that?
It's the age, it's the time, sex. That's what it is. It's sex, and that's what's selling. And it doesn't matter if you're like the girl Sexy Red, for example, perfect example. She's booming. She's just to the moon. Is she talented? No, not to me.
Right.
Like the music is juvenile. Is it catchy? Is it funny? Like everybody but it's not.
It's not serious.
It's not bars.
Just like,
you know what I mean?
But I think that's why women are winning right now, because they're having fun in their music.
Yeah.
They're making people dance.
You have to be entertaining more than lyrically talented. There are some that can do both. You know what I mean? I'm not saying everybody's without talent. There are people that have both. But I think that right now, to get the listeners, the viewers, this young group of people, is sex.
So Gutter Snipe says, first he busted out the lyrics to Supersonic. Shout out to you for trying to spell out
right,
Asamalama.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
He tried.
He tried. Like, hold it down with that. But he also mentioned Lady of Rage. She was hard. So technically, though she came out with a West Coast hip hop label, Rage is from Virginia.
Yeah, she's from the East Coast.
So, there you go. Gutter Snipe mentioned her verse on High Powered. It is, I love Lady of Rage. Afro Puffs was my jam.
Fun.
But I think that it's kind of strange, though, as dominant as the West Coast has been as far as hip hop, that there's no female representing, and realizing that even if you think about it, like most of the female, at least like in the Kim era, in the Trina era, started or emerged from a male crew. But it's just interesting now we haven't had somebody from the West Coast step up. Andy?
Are you familiar with Gina Views?
I know who Gina Views is. I know her mostly. I know she raps, but I know her mostly as a
DJ
host, like on Adam 22's No Jumpers show or network. I know she left there, but she raps too.
She does some stuff on the side where she makes N-words rap. Basically, she does like a little cipher thing.
Doesn't she do that with DJ Head?
I'm not too
familiar.
I
think she does it with DJ Head.
But she makes folks raps. You can go on YouTube. She actually has what was it, International Women's Day in March or whatnot. She literally had I think it was 10 MCs from 10 female MCs from the West Coast spit. So y'all might want to go on YouTube and check that out.
Yes, that is her. I learned about her from DJ Head for sure.
Okay, well, shout out to Gina Views. I know she's holding it down, and she is a voice of hip hop. When we come forward, we'll have more on this conversation and more with Miko Grimes. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Notice how you can't help but mention at least I know I got your attention. Got you with a good bed.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The White House says President Biden was never in business with his son Hunter. That's what Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters Monday. Her statement was in response to allegations claiming a Ukrainian energy executive paid millions in bribes to Biden and his son during the president's time in the Obama administration. A black Alabama woman who claimed she was kidnapped after seeing a baby on the highway is admitting it was all a hoax. On Monday, Carly Russell's attorney announced she wasn't abducted by anyone. On this day in history in 1997, a federal jury in New York convicted Autumn Jackson of extortion. The young woman who claimed to be Bill Cosby's out-of-wedlock daughter was found guilty of trying to extort $40 million from the entertainer. The U.S. Mint says Miami's Cuban queen of salsa will be the first Afro-Latina to be featured on a U.S. coin. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Life moves fast. Your car shouldn't. Keep neighbors safe. Drive like your friends or family live there. Better slow than sorry. Go safely, California, from the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
In our community, mental health struggles can sometimes go unnoticed. The suicide rate among Black youth has risen faster than any other ethnic group. Only 1 in 3 African Americans who need mental health care receives it. African American women are only half as likely as their Caucasian counterparts to seek professional mental health services. Even those who guide us spiritually can sometimes face their own challenges. 45% of pastors say they've experienced depression or burnout to the extent they need to take a leave of absence from ministry. As people of faith, it's time to acknowledge it's okay not to be okay. You can pray and get help. Visit normalizehelp.org for more information and resources. Join us in raising mental health awareness in our community. Funded by the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health and the Champion Counseling Center of Faithful Central Bible Church.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCEL scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with autosave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Now I'ma do this thing like it ain't done before. Never leave the game stranded, I had to give more. I'ma give you what you want, what you waiting for. Make the music that the people can't ignore. A lot of niggas is a lot of bitches be tripping. A lot of them be wishing that they was in my position. A lot of niggas be cowards and most chicks be chickens. About the cluck, Eve ain't tripping. Most dudes is okay, half of the rest ain't. Talking about what they wanna do, reality they can't. Ask them what they life worth, watch them draw a blank. I really ain't got no interest if it don't involve the bank. Most of the time
Welcome
I'm nice,
forward.
so
You
half
are
the
checking
time
out
I'm not.
RSVP with Jill Munroe here live on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm here with my guest, Miko Grimes. I Heart Miko on Instagram. You are listening to the hottest, the most, well, we're not being outlandish tonight. We're being pretty tame, I think, right?
Yeah.
We only had one little issue in the chat. Shout out to you, Zakia. We love you. So we are talking about all things hip-hop this hour. It is the 50th anniversary of hip-hop coming up August 11th, although there have been some debates as to whether or not August 11th, 1973 should really be considered the birth of hip-hop. Some are counting in 1979, I guess, when the first record went out and we got real record play. They even referenced, I saw this on Twitter, on the Twitters, that, or is it X now? I'm never going to call it X. But that there was an article on Time Magazine with Lauryn Hill in 1999 that referenced the first 20 years of hip-hop. Now, granted, Time Magazine is not exactly the keepers of the culture, so maybe they got it wrong. But for you, what do you consider the start of hip-hop? Do you consider the block party where it happened? I think that what a lot of people find confusing is between 73 and 79, what was happening? What was going on in the world of hip-hop?
Well,
we don't really know.
I was born. I know that much.
Absolutely.
I was born in 75. But I don't know. I was on the West Coast. I can only say what the people of New York say. And I think that that culture should speak for what that day is. Because I got no clue. I was just a little baby.
Shout out to Gutter Snipe. He said, Miko's so fine. I'm deaf and I'm still watching. Well, shout out to you, Gutter Snipe. We appreciate it. Hold it down. You can't hear me shouting you out, though, I guess. But
He said I'm deaf.
yeah, we appreciate it. So Spin.com broke down what they consider the top 10 moments of hip-hop. Moments where the genre changed, where it was impacted, where it made some of its biggest moves. So we're going to get into that and see what your thoughts are, see if we agree. So number 10, they said, is The Breaks by Curtis Blow. It came out in 1980, and the reason why they selected this is that it was the first rap song to go gold. It, you know, most people don't even remember that.
Takes. Curtis
Blow, and I want you to know that these are the breaks. Shout out to Curtis Blow.
Old.
Actually,
We're old.
We are, because we know that reference. You know, I mean, what I remember when I think about Curtis Blow, I mean, I think about the breaks. I think about him in something we're going to talk about later. But I think about basketball because I feel like if you were coming up in the 80s any game you had, if there was a DJ there for special
played
equations, he played that. If you were a cheerleader or on drill team, you had some type of routine during basketball season to that song. It was just a part of the culture. It broke
Yeah.
it down. And Curtis Blow, when he moved to the West Coast, he was a resident not too far from where we are in Leimert Park. He lived in View Park or Windsor Hills, and that's where he was for many, many years. That's part of the Black Hollywood. So shout out to
I
him.
didn't know that. Thank you for that.
See, I'm full of, information and history too. A little bit. So they have number 9 on the list is Wu-Tang is for the Children. That moment, February 25th, 1998, when Old Dirty Bastard came on the stage and interrupted the Grammys and proclaimed that Wu-Tang is for the children. Singer Sean Colvin had just won Song of the Year award. Do we even know where Sean Colvin is anymore? Do we talk about her?
No.
Do we remember her?
No.
She considered one of the classics from that time. But that moment was, I don't know if I would consider that in the top 10. It definitely was a moment. It
I want to see
definitely
what the
said
rest
something.
of. That's why I was like, let me see what the rest of these are.
So,
I feel like they could have picked a better Wu-Tang moment than that, but let's see.
And so what they say is that it was shocking. And although rappers interrupting awards winners would become a thing later on.
They were the originals?
They were the originals.
Okay.
ODB was the original.
I'll allow it.
And he made it point. And they said it also ushered in one of the most repeated phrases in hip hop history. Wu-Tang is for the kids.
I'll allow it. I see what they did there.
I see the vision. So number 8, I think this one is interesting. My eye is tearing up. Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine changed the game with Beats by Dre. So they said, in 2006, when Dre and Jimmy Iovine started Beats by Dre, they were ready to become big problems to the music industry. But we know what helped them become an immediate success was when the Redeem team wore them in that Olympics where they were going back to get the gold medal after all those years. What was it? They won bronze in the World Games.
Yeah, they embarrassed us as a country.
And so, they gave the beats to LeBron and Maverick, and they got them all over the Redeem team in the Olympics. They also had Lady Gaga and Lil Wayne in them. And since 2014, so by 2011, Beats sales were in the $500 million range. By 2014, they were bought out by Apple, and we know that figure just kept climbing. And then Dr. Dre was supposedly a billionaire and Tyrese ruined it, but that's another story. So do you think that is, and I'm gonna get some tissue, do you think that is a proper moment for hip-hop? Do you think that deserves to be on the list?
Because wasn't he considered the first billionaire of hip-hop? Wasn't that the moment, or no?
I mean, the moment was supposedly when Beats was sold to Apple. That was the moment when Dre became a billionaire and Tyrese announced it on Instagram, and then supposedly something happened and the deal went someplace else, but Dre still got his money, but maybe not that money, but we aren't really sure because he ended up getting a divorce soon after, and we weren't really privy to what his money was.
Yeah, well, I think that, that's a big moment because you think about where hip-hop has come from, and you don't always hear about the guys being able to transition into something else that makes them money. So I think that was a big moment for hip-hop. I would say that was.
Okay, so number 7, Eric B. and Rakim usher in the golden age of hip-hop with Paid in Full. So we know that song, that album was recorded in New York at Marley Marl's home studio. Fourth and Broadway Records was the subsidiary. It was released in 1987. And it set the stage as far as DJs, obviously following in the path of Jam Master Jay with Run DMC, etc. But Eric B's name came first in the lineup.
Yeah.
People may not have even known, but they kind of started that golden era of hip hop. Do you feel it was that? Do you feel like you could give that credit to 86 and LL Cool J when he dropped, what was LL Cool J's, Bigger and Deffer?
Yeah.
Because we're like 86 and 87 with it. Def Jam versus, like I said, Fourth and Broadway, which was an indie, but what are your thoughts about that moment?
I think the reason that it gets the credit is because it was an indie situation, I believe. That makes it different. And then there was, so much that came behind that album as well. Like a movie came, there's a movie for Paid in Full. You know what I mean? So I just feel like that And then Eric B. and Rakim in general. And LL doesn't get the credit he deserves for how incredible his music career was and how dope he was for so many decades. But Eric B. and Rakim, I respect it.
When we come forward, we'll get into the rest of the list, and we will have more with Miko Grimes. You are checking out RSVP on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hollywood Walk of Fame stars in 2024. Stay tuned to find out who's in next year's class. I'm Aisha Cairo with your K-Black Minute News. A new group of 31 entertainment professionals across film, television, radio, recording, and sports entertainment will have their names etched into Hollywood's history in 2024. One of the most celebrated names on the list was the beloved Chadwick Boseman. Others for the class of 2024 in Hollywood Walk of Fame was this year's Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh in the motion picture category. Other notable names include Chris Pine, Gwen Stefani, Andre, Dr. Dre, Young, Otis Redding, Christina Ricci, Brandy Norwood, Harry Washington, and more. The dates for the star ceremonies have not yet been scheduled. To find out all 31 inductees, visit youtube.com/Walk of Fame. Have you heard about Lendistry? Lendistry is a national black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Whether financing is needed to increase working capital, acquire a business, purchase inventory and equipment, or refinance debt, Lendistry has a solution for you. Lending products range from traditional business term loans and non-revolving lines of credit to SBA 7A loans and commercial real estate financing. Lendistry's pre-application process is simple and does not impact your credit score. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more and to get started with an application right from the website.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS has launched their most aggressive hiring campaign ever to ramp up enforcement. If you're ignoring your taxes, don't delay another minute because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could already be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here live on KBLA Talk 1580. I am with my guest, Miko Grimes. Miko is a sports journalist. She is an all-around baddie. So before we get back into the list, Miko, tell me what projects you're working on, because obviously the chat is enjoying you, and they want to know where they can see more of you and check out more of your opinions.
Well, if you guys have ever heard of a guy named Gilbert Arenas, I am on a show called Gil's Arena. We record every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., and that is Pacific Standard Time, so on the West Coast. We record 3 days a week. Right now I'm going to be on there every other week because it's not basketball season technically. This is an NBA show, but when the season starts, I'll be on every week there. I am also a writer of a short film called Ho, Happiness Over Everything. If you do follow me on social media, please pay attention to when it's ever in a film festival, because that's the only time that you can see it, and support me in that way. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
So let me ask you, because you are venturing off into the TV and film space in various capacities, in front of the camera and behind the camera, do you look at what's going on with the strike right now? What are your thoughts around that, as that's a area that you're entering into? Does it make you want to stay independent, or do you just want to see it work out and figure out how you can work your piece within their piece?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I feel like this, and it's not nice to say, but I'm gonna say it because you know that's who I am.
And we wouldn't want you to be any other way.
I feel like it's a great opportunity for someone like myself to get into the industry because there's a lot of talented people that just aren't getting recognized and aren't getting opportunities. And what I was told by people that are in the strike and things, they say, if you're going to take work as a writer, as an actor doing something, don't go with the big time companies. Go small, do independent stuff, like helps somebody else that's independent. Don't go to the big name companies and everything and work with them. So that's all I was told, and I just hope that this gives me an opportunity to get my show Ho off, which is it's a short film, but it's also a TV series that I'm pitching to networks. So if there's any networks listening, hey, slide in my email on my Instagram at iheartmicogrime@gmail.com and ask for a clip of it, and I will show you, and we can talk business.
You know, because that's how business gets done. Do you feel like, because you've always been sort of counterculture and you like that, you know, so that you can play by and set up your own rules, do you think that for you that's a better path to take?
Yeah, because, you know, I don't do things the right way. I can get canceled at any moment. You know, like I say exactly how I feel about things. I stand on what I stand on. And a lot of times when you're with the big corporations, when you're signed with all these people, you have to stay out of the way. You can't be opinionated. You can't, say how you feel about certain things because you get canceled. You know, so I think independent is probably the best thing for me, unless I get with a network that is willing to accept the fact that I'm going to be myself regardless.
I know that's right. There's no other way to be. So you guys know where to check out Miko. Make sure you support her when you come across that, as you always do. We're going to get back a little bit into this hip-hop conversation. So number 6 on the list from spin.com of the top 10 hip-hop moments in the first 50 years of hip-hop. Number 6 is Outkast, when they proclaimed the South has something to say. It was 95. It was at the Source Awards. They had just won Best New Duo or Group. You know, they came on stage. The audience wasn't feeling them, you know, because of that East Coast bias. And, you know, they took a stand. And I think you had groups like UGK. There are other groups that were, you know, everybody that was signed to Suave House or Rap a Lot before that,
MJG,
all of that stuff. But I think that Outkast sort of set the pace and the tone for Southern music. So I'm not mad at this moment. It's crazy when you think about, they only had, 3 albums?
Yeah.
Dropped 3
Sadly.
albums. And with the last one being in about 2005, I think that's when that double album was out. And then, you know, outside of a few guest appearances, we haven't seen Andre 3000, but they did put it on the map, so I can accept that.
Yeah.
You know?
Look at the run Atlanta went on after that.
Right.
Atlanta became the it place. That's why I moved there in 2006. Atlanta was it. That was the place to be by then, and you could see the trend from them saying the South got something to say. Atlanta just took off.
T.I., Jeezy, Migos, Young
Gucci,
Thug, Future, Gucci.
Yes.
You know, all of that. I mean, I know Rick Ross is Miami, but, you know, he was in Atlanta for a minute. Ludacris. So, yep, I feel all of that.
Then all those don't
snap music.
All them. I go to the club. That's what, like, it was just a lot. It was a lot happening at that time.
And then, you know what you can't forget? And they didn't mention this in there, but I'm going to throw this in as an honorable mention. Might be blasphemous to some, but since we're talking about Atlanta, it fits. Soulja Boy. Not only that song, but him taking over YouTube and using that to launch a whole career. And now YouTube is an integral part of every, you know, marketing thing TV. Along with all of that stuff. You know, it's replaced that. So, you know, I think that Soulja Boy should be on the list. Kind of crazy, but I do.
Not.
He's not. So I understand why, though. Number 5 is Sugar Hill Records being born 1979. We talked about that a little bit, which some consider their date as founding of hip hop. It was founded by husband and wife Joe and Sylvia Robinson. Obviously, we know Rapper's Delight had lyrics taken from other people. They didn't feel like we noticed. They even have one of the guys was saying one of the other person's names that actually wrote the song. I can't remember what the lyric is at this point. But, you know, like they just ripped it straight from the headlines. And then all throughout the 80s and 90s, it was blasphemous if you didn't write your own raps. And now we're just like, hey, it's just a part of performing. It's okay. So, you know, we'll roll with that. Number 4 is the summer of 88, the debut of Yo MTV Raps.
Oh, wow.
Did you watch Yo MTV Raps?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fab Five.
Fab Five, Freddie, Dr. Did you watch the daily one or did you start off watching the one that came on Friday night?
Daily.
With Ed Lover and
I
Dr.
watched
Dre?
That's when I like, I don't listen to a lot of hip hop now, but that's
You don't? Wait.
Not really. No, I'll listen to like Drake. People say, oh, Drake's not really hip hop. He's a little bit of everything, but I like Drake. I like Kendrick Lamar. I like A Boogie with a Hoodie. Like, that's about it.
Party Next Door?
He's not a rapper.
Well, he's not a rapper. He's
R&B. Yes. But you see what I mean? Like, I don't really get into it. I feel like it doesn't speak to who my life right now. So that's why I really can't. I'll if it's on, I'll vibe, but it's not on my rotation.
It's not on your rotation?
No.
Okay. I don't think it's on mine either. I think I'm probably like most people. Like there are songs I like, but I can't say that I'm a fan or a consumer of anybody. I think I'm at that age where I'm like, and who was that?
Yeah,
I think
J.
I like
Cole.
Run That Run Back.
Yeah, I like J. Cole.
It's not that I don't like J. Cole. I like J. Cole, but I don't think that I care about J. Cole, if that makes sense.
He be spitting about real stuff too, man.
He talked too much about college. Maybe it's because I've been out of college.
That's the old. He got new music. You catch up, girl.
Catch up. I'm missing
stuff.
something. I gotta go check it out.
Yes.
I just feel like sometimes I'm like, I remember it was a few years ago he performed at NBA All Star, and I was like, why him? It just didn't make sense to me, but I might have been being a hater.
He's the man.
Okay.
He really is.
All right, J. Cole, shout out to you. I'll give you another go round. So at number 3, they have Run DMC and Aerosmith releasing Walk This Way.
Oh, what a time.
That was a seminal moment. That's when they broke out, and became the ambassadors of the shell toes,
and then
the hats.
The culture mixing with rock and roll. That was a good time.
It was. I think that definitely was a culture moment.
Yeah.
Number 2, they have the August 11th Back to School Jam that Kool Herc threw, which is the birthday of hip hop that we're celebrating. Obviously, that belongs in the top 10, so that can stay. And so what they have at number 1 is interesting.
I'm mad because I'm trying to figure out where Snoop crushing the buildings, the source of what that didn't make it. Okay,
it's not on there.
Go ahead.
But the East Coast don't got love for Dr. Dre and Snoop.
Like, yeah,
that was a seminal moment. But number 1 kind of involves something like that. Number 1 is the murders of Biggie and Pac.
Oh.
And so I do feel like that is appropriate because
there's been too many murders. Why them?
Because I think the fact that they happened like about 6 to 8 months apart, I think it changed hip hop forever.
The rivalry and all that. The rivalry and all that stuff.
It changed hip hop forever. It divided it. It brought it back together. It showed you that even though we talk about stuff being real in the songs, and at that point we had seen Snoop go on his murder trial and a couple of other things, that crystallized it. I think it forever changed hip hop. It changed the way that we approach it. It changed what representative was. So last word for you, Miko.
I just want to thank you for having me on, girl. I had so much fun. This is amazing. I want to continue to support you. You've always supported me. You're an amazing host. I love seeing you on red carpets, asking questions. Shout out to you, girl. This is all about you, and I love you, and I appreciate you.
I love you so much. Miko is an amazing person. Make sure you guys are following her. I Heart Miko on Instagram. I'm at Stiletto Jill. When we come forward, you're going to hear the best of KBLA. I thank you for checking in, VIPs. Rock with me each and every night, 9 p.m. to midnight on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Jill Munroe, RSVP with Jill Munroe. Thank you and good night.
Come on. That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. That's just the way it is. Oh yeah. Hear me. That's just the way it is.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Mike.